If you have the courage to hear the full nightmare, stay till the end. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to uncover more terrifying stories like this. The journal was 142 years old, but the last page had today's date. And underneath it, written in dried brown ink, was my name. A cold shiver crawled down my spine as I stood in my grandfather's attic, the dusty air thick enough to taste. Shadows clung to the wooden beams like old memories refusing to die. The journal lay in my hands, its leather cracked, its corners burned as if someone tried to destroy it but failed. Outside, a faint wind brushed against the windows, making them tremble as though something unseen was breathing against the glass. I shouldn't have opened it. I knew that even then. But curiosity is a quiet poison, and it had already seeped into me. The first page was dated 1884, signed by an ancestor I had never heard of, Elias Harper. The handwriting looked frantic, strokes uneven, pressure deep enough to leave grooves in the old paper. As I flipped to the second page, a line caught my eye. "The grave is ready. I pray the name never appears." My pulse slowed. A faint heartbeat like thud, thud, thud echoed somewhere behind me. Maybe the old house settling. Or maybe not. The next entry chilled my blood. A curse given to the firstborn of every third generation. It comes at night, wearing the face of the one who reads this journal. Silence stretched across the attic, thick, heavy, suffocating. For a moment, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. I turned another page. The handwriting changed, sharper, darker. "If you have found this, then it knows you now. Do not visit the cemetery after dusk. Do not speak your name aloud. And never, never touch the grave marked with your reflection." A sudden thump behind me nearly made me drop the journal. I spun around, flashlight trembling in my hand. Its beam carved through the dusty air, revealing old trunks, broken furniture, and something else. A shadow that didn't belong. It stretched along the far wall, long and thin, twitching slightly, as if aware I was watching. I stepped back, my heartbeat loud in my ears. The shadow twitched again, then slowly lifted an arm. My arm. My breath froze in my throat as realization hit me. That shadow wasn't mimicking me. I was mimicking it. The journal slipped from my hand and fell open on the wooden floor. The pages fluttered, stopping on the last entry, one I hadn't written, one that shouldn't exist. "Tonight, the grave will call to you. When you hear your name, do not answer. But you will. They always do." A faint whisper drifted from the attic door behind me. My name, spoken in my own voice. The attic door stood half open, the darkness behind it looking thicker than the shadows inside the attic itself, as if it wasn't just darkness, but something standing there, breathing softly. The whisper of my name lingered in the air, light, thin, trembling, like it came from a throat that hadn't been used in years. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. For 3 long seconds, there was nothing but silence. Then the whisper came again, this time closer. Too close. I grabbed the journal off the floor and ran down the stairs, every step groaning beneath my feet. The house felt wrong, like every wall, every window, every corner had woken up and was quietly watching me. The air was heavier now, filled with a coldness that clung to my skin. By the time I reached the living room, my breaths were sharp and shallow. I locked the door behind me, but the whispering had already followed, faint, muffled, coming from inside the walls, like a trapped voice searching for a way out. I turned on every light. The brightness didn't help. The house still felt dark. The journal lay in my hands, heavier than before, as if it carried more than pages, like it carried a weight my ancestors had spent generations hiding. I opened to the next entry. It follows by voice first, then by shadow, then by blood. My throat tightened. Another line beneath it. "Do not run from the whisper. It only grows hungry." A sudden vibration buzzed in my pocket, my phone. The screen lit up with an unknown number. My stomach nodded. The call came again, and again. On the 4th ring, I answered. At first, nothing. Then, breathing. Slow, deep, deliberate. "Who is this?" I whispered, though I regretted speaking immediately. The breathing stopped. Then my own voice replied. "Behind you." I froze. I didn't want to turn around. Every instinct screamed to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The silence behind me deepened, thick like someone was standing inches away. I forced myself to turn, but there was nothing. Just the hallway. Long, Empty. Still. Yet the air felt disturbed, like something had just stepped out of sight. The journal slipped open in my trembling hands to another entry, one that hadn't been there minutes before. It will never appear when you look for it, only when you believe you're finally safe. A soft knock echoed from the front door. 3 slow taps, then 2 more, then silence. I approached cautiously, peeking through the peephole. No one was there. But on the porch floor, lying directly on the welcome mat, was a small, dirt-covered envelope. On its front, written in smeared brown ink. For the next Harper. My breath caught in my chest. That was me. The envelope felt strangely warm in my hands, as if someone had been holding it just seconds before I found it. Dirt flaked off its surface, falling like dark snow onto the floor. My fingertips tingled the moment I touched the seal, an old crimson wax stamp with a symbol carved into it. A circle, a line, a single staring eye. The same symbol from the journal's last page. A faint heartbeat like thump echoed somewhere in the house. Thud, thud, thud. Soft, but growing closer. I swallowed hard and slowly broke the seal. A smell escaped. Cold, damp earth. Grave dirt. Inside was a folded page, old and brittle. I opened it carefully. The handwriting was different from Elias Harper's. Sharper, darker, almost carved into the paper. To the next Harper, the grave knows your name now. A chill crawled across my spine. My pulse quickened. Another line beneath it. Do not look into mirrors at night. I lowered the page slowly, the silence around me thick and pressing. Then my phone buzzed again. A notification. Just one. From the house's security camera app. Uptack with circle above motion detected. Backyard. My breath hitched. The camera never triggers unless something moves directly in front of it. I hesitated, then tapped on the live feed. Static. Only static. Snow-like static danced across the screen, whispering in soft white noise. Then, just for a second, the image flickered into place. Brightness. The back porch. The old wooden railing. The darkness stretching beyond. But standing at the very edge of the camera's view was a figure, facing the house, completely still. A tall, shadow-like silhouette with no features, just darkness shaped into something human. My hands shook uncontrollably. The screen flickered again. The figure vanished. The feed went dead. Silence fell across the house. I stepped back from the phone as if it were poisonous. My lungs struggled to pull air in. I tried to steady myself, gripping the journal tight. For a moment, the house was quiet. Then, a sharp creak echoed upstairs, followed by another. Slow, deliberate footsteps moving across the second floor. I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding. Someone, something, was walking the hallway above me. The journal suddenly flipped open in my hands as though an unseen force had turned the page. My eyes were pulled to the next entry. Once it crosses the threshold, it will search for your voice. Stay silent. The footsteps grew louder. One step, another, moving toward the staircase. I pressed myself against the wall, breath held, throat tight. The house vibrated lightly with each step, like something heavy, too heavy, was walking. The footsteps stopped at the top of the stairs. Silence. Then a soft, raspy whisper drifted down. Harper. Not my name, just my surname. As if it was trying to confirm I was still alive. My phone buzzed again with a new camera alert. Uptack with circle above motion detected. Living room, inside. I never saw the alert pop up from inside the house. The alert on my phone glowed like a warning flare in the dark. Uptack with circle above motion detected. Living room, inside. My throat tightened. Nothing should have been moving inside except me. I forced myself to check the live camera feed. The screen opened slowly, like it was reluctant to show me what waited on the other side. For a moment, everything looked normal. The lamp, the old rug, the long hallway leading toward the staircase. Stillness. Then the feed glitched, just a ripple, a distortion in the lower corner. Another flicker. The image warped as if someone, or something, passed close to the camera, too close for the lens to focus. I leaned in, breath sharp. The distortion stretched, forming the faint outline of a person. No, a shadow shaped like a person. Long, narrow, unmoving. It wasn't walking. It wasn't breathing. It was just there, watching. The camera cut to static. I lowered the phone slowly, forcing air into my lungs. Every part of the house suddenly felt alive, like the walls were exhaling cold breath around me. The silence was so heavy it vibrated. The journal in my hand fluttered, a page flipping by itself. The new entry was written in jagged strokes. It enters the room before its footsteps reach you. Do not let it learn your shape. My shape? A faint reflection caught my eye in the glass of the nearby cabinet. But something was wrong. The reflection wasn't matching my movement. I lifted my hand. The figure in the glass lifted theirs, delayed, slow, almost curious. Its head tilted at an angle no human neck could follow. My legs nearly buckled. I stepped back, heart pounding so loud it drowned the air. The figure in the reflection leaned closer to the glass, as if trying to push through. The house went silent again. Too silent. Then the footsteps upstairs resumed. Slow, deliberate, descending. One heavy step. Another. Another. The wood groaned under the weight, far heavier than any person should carry. I backed away from the staircase, my breath trembling. A cold draft swept down the stairs, brushing against my face like icy fingers. Halfway down the steps, the footsteps stopped. A shadow stretched across the wall, tall, thin, long arms dangling like wet vines. It wasn't cast by any person. It wasn't shaped like mine. And it was moving. The shadow slid across the wall, inches at a time, as if crawling toward the bottom step. When it reached the floor, it stopped and turned its head in my direction. Not physically. The shadow turned its head. My voice caught in my throat. I didn't dare breathe. Then the phone buzzed again. A notification popped up with a soft chime that cut through the silence like a scream. New message, unknown number. My hands trembled as I opened it. Only one line. Stop moving. I can see you. The hallway grew darker. The shadow stretched closer. My phone slipped slightly in my sweaty hand as I reread the message. Stop moving. I can see you. Every instinct screamed to run, but the journal's warning burned in my mind. Once it searches for your voice, stay silent. I forced myself to freeze, to breathe as quietly as possible, to become invisible. But the house wasn't quiet anymore. A low hum vibrated through the walls, like something massive was pressing against them from the outside. The lights flickered, each pulse of darkness lasting a fraction longer than it should. My eyes drifted back toward the staircase. The shadow was gone. Not faded, not retreated, just gone. A sudden creak sounded behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Just my reflection in the darkened window, until my reflection blinked, late. A full second late. My breath stopped in my chest. My reflection smiled. I didn't. The smile stretched wider, too wide, as if the face in the glass wasn't made of flesh at all. My knees weakened. I stumbled back, bumping into the coffee table. The sound echoed loudly. Too loudly. A whisper immediately followed from the hallway. There you are. The same voice as before. My own voice. But closer. So much closer. I bolted toward the kitchen, silent running, breath trapped behind clenched teeth. I grabbed the journal, flipping pages wildly until another fresh entry appeared, ink still glistening. Do not let it speak with your voice twice. My stomach twisted. It had already spoken twice. A soft, wet sound came from the ceiling above me, like something dragging its limbs across the drywall. The lights flickered again, each flash revealing something closer. Flash, nothing. Flash, a long shadow stretching toward the counter. Flash, fingers crawling over the edge. Flash, a face forming behind me in the window's reflection. Not my face anymore. Longer. Hollow. Eyeless. As if my reflection had been emptied out and worn like a mask. The light steadied. The reflection stayed. It raised a hand slowly, curling a finger, beckoning me closer. I backed away, heart pounding. The kitchen door behind me slammed shut on its own, the impact sending plates rattling. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Don't run. The grave is almost ready. My vision blurred. The journal flipped again by itself. A new entry. When the house breathes, leave immediately. As I read it, the air around me expanded, like the entire house inhaled, walls stretching soundlessly. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I grabbed the door handle and pulled. It didn't budge. I yanked harder. Locked. Behind me, the reflection in the window tilted its head, its mouth opening slowly, stretching wider and wider until it split in a silent scream. Then, a knock. Not on the door. Not on the window. Right next to my ear, the knock came again, soft, deliberate. I froze, every muscle locked. It was not a knock on wood, it was inside my skull, a vibration, a pulse, a heartbeat that wasn't mine. I swallowed hard. The journal trembled in my hands, flipping open to a page I had never seen before. It knows your fear. It knows your next move. The grave waits, and the grave always wins. My eyes darted toward the window. The reflection, still there, watching, smiling, but its mouth was silent. No whisper this time, just a promise. A draft of cold air circled me, spiraling like a miniature tornado. Papers fluttered off the counter, landing around me like a circle of warning. The lights flickered violently, then went out. Complete darkness. I heard the faintest scrape behind me, slow, dragging, inch by inch. I tried to breathe quietly, but the sound of my own lungs felt deafening. Then a whisper, closer than ever. "Harper, come to me." I wanted to run. My feet felt cemented. My hands shook uncontrollably. I glanced down at the journal. Another entry had appeared, ink dark, wet-looking, crawling across the page. The grave calls your name. It is hungry. It has always been waiting for the blood of the firstborn. I stumbled back toward the staircase, heart hammering. My hand touched the banister, but something cold and solid grabbed my wrist. I yelped. My head spun. Nothing was there. Nothing. Then a sound from the backyard. Soft, like soil being shifted. A scraping sound. I ran to the window. Outside, in the pale moonlight, the cemetery behind my house, my ancestor's grave, was glowing faintly. A thin mist rose from the earth like fingers stretching into the night, and carved into the dirt my name. I blinked. It vanished. But then, faint whispers carried on the wind, indistinguishable at first, then clear. "Harper, Harper, Harper." I slammed the window shut. The shadow in the reflection moved closer, stretching, elongating, climbing the walls. It wasn't limited to glass anymore. It seeped into the room, crawling along every surface, licking the corners with darkness. I grabbed the journal and ran toward the front door, desperate. Locked. The doorknob rattled violently. Someone, or something, outside trying to get in. I pounded on the door, screamed, tried to break it down. Then the wind outside whispered one word I could never unhear. Inside, the lights flickered on for half a second, and I swear I saw it. My reflection, standing behind me, smiling. And behind that, a figure rising from the darkness that I froze. The reflection in the window didn't just mirror me anymore. It moved independently. Its head tilted slowly, eyes dark hollows that seemed to pierce my soul. My own hands shook as they rose, but the reflection's hands had already reached for me. A soft knock sounded again, this time from the ceiling. Tap, tap, tap. 1, 2, 3. Then silence. I forced myself to breathe. My journal was open, pages flicking wildly, stopping at a line I hadn't read yet. When the mirror speaks, it knows your name. Do not answer. But the reflection spoke anyway. Harper. My name, low and distorted, reverberating like it came from every corner of the room. I stumbled backward, tripping over the rug. My phone slipped from my pocket, lighting up with a new notification. It sees you. Do not hide. The shadow in the reflection stretched across the floor, leaving darkness in its wake. It reached out, impossibly long, curling around the walls like black smoke. I pressed my back against the far wall, heart pounding, sweat dripping down my face. Then the reflection moved toward the doorway. Slowly, methodically, every step silent. I realized my real reflection was gone. Only that thing remained. Only the shadow, only the whispering voice, only the darkness with my face. I knew what I had to do. I had to leave the house. Now, I darted toward the front door. It swung open without a sound. The night air hit me like a wall, cold, damp, almost alive. I ran into the yard. The cemetery lay ahead. The mist hovered over the graves, thick and slow-moving, almost guiding me. My ancestor's grave glowed faintly in the moonlight. And in the soil, the name mine. I froze. My lungs burned. A whisper drifted from the grave. Come closer. I tried to scream, but no sound emerged. Then, a hand broke through the dirt, pale, skeletal, yet shaped like mine. It beckoned, and suddenly, a noise behind me made me spin. The reflection had followed me outside. It stood at the edge of the cemetery, perfect mimicry, smiling wide, eyeless, leaning forward, slowly stepping over the grass as if it had always been outside. I backed away, my foot hitting a gravestone. It was trembling, the letters carved into it, familiar. I swallowed hard. It was not just any grave. It was my family's firstborn, a warning. Then, from the journal in my pocket, a line shone in bright ink. When the grave rises, your past and present will collide. Only one Harper survives. The shadow moved faster than I could react. Closer, closer. Its voice, now layered with mine and Elias Harper's, whispered, "Your turn." I stumbled, tripped, and the world tilted that I fell to my knees in the damp grass, the mist curling around me like fingers of ice. My lungs burned, each breath a struggle against the cold that felt alive, crawling under my skin. The grave loomed ahead, faintly glowing, the name etched in the soil, mine. The reflection, no, the shadow, stepped over the grass silently. Its long limbs bent impossibly, stretching toward me. Its eyeless face grinned wide, teeth hidden, voice layered, familiar, impossible. "Harper, you cannot hide." I clutched the journal. It was trembling, pages fluttering as if alive. A new entry appeared. "The firstborn always faces the shadow. The past will claim what it lost. Speak, or be claimed." I shook my head, trying to flee. My legs wouldn't move. The mist thickened, swallowing everything behind me. The house, the trees, the moonlight. It narrowed, forming a path that funneled me toward the grave. The shadow moved faster now, almost gliding over the grass. Its whisper filled my ears, overlapping my thoughts. "Your name, your blood, your turn." I fell forward, hands digging into the soil, my eyes locking on the glowing name. The ground pulsed beneath me, heartbeat thick, vibrating in tune with the soft hum the house had made earlier. Then the grave split open. Not violently, not loudly, but with a slow, deliberate creak, like wood rotting over centuries. Dust rose, carrying the smell of old earth, of secrets buried too long. A hand reached out. Pale, familiar. Not my own, but a Harper's hand, thin, skeletal, worn by time. And then another. I froze. The journal fell from my hands. Its pages fluttered, revealing the last line I would ever read in it. To face the shadow is to understand it. Only the bloodline can awaken what sleeps beneath. The shadow stepped closer. Its long arms reached toward me, its face bending impossibly, a mirror of mine, but wrong. Wrong in every way. The whispers became screams, echoes of Elias Harper, of ancestors I had never met, of every firstborn who had come before me. "Join us, the grave waits." I screamed, not with my voice, but in my head. The shadow's hand touched mine, and for a second, I felt everything. Every secret, every curse, every whispered warning in the journal. The mist closed over me. The reflection merged with the shadow. The grave swallowed us both in silence. Then nothing. The cemetery lay quiet. The mist dissipated. The night returned to normal, except for the journal. It lay on the ground, closed, cover cracked, pages blank, until one line appeared in ink. Fresh, dark. "The next Harper knows my name." The wind whispered softly through the trees. And I swear, somewhere a voice my own answered, "Yes." If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for more terrifying stories.